literally subjective, but it's important. Now, in the scientific inquiry, you know the word disinterested, right? It is not uninterested. Disinterested meaning you're able to do something that you transcend your own subjective view. You just look at something, study something without your interest involved in it. If you have your interest involved in it, you never be able to find truth. And now we don't believe there's one truth, like a capitalized truth. Well, in a way, this is Harvard's motto, like veritas, meaning truth, but truth is capitalized, singular. If you look at the John Harvard statue, go to the left, and there are 3 books. 2 books are open, 1 book is closed. Because in the earlier education, there's the sense that science and technology, all kinds of knowledge open to us, so we'll be able to understand. But there's 1 book that is not revealed to us, closed, maybe the Bible, either the Hebrew Bible or the New Bible. Anyway, that's closed. But from the Confucian point of view, all 3 books are open. There's no mystery beyond human comprehension. But this notion is a notion about modesty. It's not a notion about human self-aggrandizement. Why is modest? Confucius made the remark that the Tao, which means almost comparable to the idea of Tao, cannot make us great. We can make the Tao great. If you translate into a different language, God cannot make us great. We can make God great. That's ridiculous. That's presumptuous. Many people consider that very presumptuous. And the Confucian point of view is that it's a question of responsibility. The question of responsibility is the human community itself will have to look after itself. No one is going to help you if you don't look after yourself. So heaven sees as the people see, heaven hears as the people hear. I'll give you one example. You know the flood myth, right? The flood myth, Noah. You heard the story about Noah. That's one solution. You have to, there's no way. This is major human disaster. So you leave, hopefully, with all the species covered. There's also the myth of the Great Flood in India or in other culture. You cannot, it's almost like the destruction of one era. All human beings are gone, and then emergence of heaven, often because of God's compassion. The Chinese solution is the case of Yu, a sage king. The sage king, his father was asked to deal with the problem. He actually used a totally different strategy. He built dams. And of course, all the dams burst. So the situation became worse. Yu is different. This is my paraphrasing of the stories. People can say the mystery of the story, but it's legend. And he was basically a great observer. So he observed the situation. He looked at the terrain. He tried to understand it in our modern world scientifically, what happened. This is one thing. Look at it. Then he mobilized a large group of people, according to one account, maybe 300,000, mobilized them, and tried to deal with the situation. And the only way he could deal with it is through his charisma. At the time, there's no modern technology of communication. So he mobilized these people because he was a source of inspiration. And he convinced these people that something ought to be done, otherwise the human race will be wiped out. Also, he demonstrated incredible spirit of self-sacrifice. For 13 years, he actually traveled all over China, maybe all over the world at the time. He passed his own family 3 times. He didn't see his wife, his parents, or his children. He's totally devoted to this task. And with all these qualities, of course, he was compassionate. He didn't do it just for himself, for humanity as a whole. He was righteous because the mobilization